Brought to you by Charity Mobile. Switch to the phone company that supports your beliefs. All plans start under $50 before taxes and surcharges. Use promo code TRADITION at CharityMobile.com for a special offer.
We often ask ourselves, why don't the priests who we know are good, why don't they ever stand up even at the AMBO on a Sunday to teach the harder truths of the faith? To remind people that going to Mass is something you have to do. Not going to Mass without a good reason is a mortal sin. And that certain behaviors suited to the married state are only suited to the married state, and if you engage in them outside of marriage, that's a mortal sin. Or a whole host of other things that the world is very, very much in disagreement with us about, including some very hot-button political-related topics of our time. Why don't the priests stand up? Why don't the bishops speak up? I have a story for you today that shows you exactly what happens when a priest in an environment hostile to the Catholic faith speaks up on things that the outside world shouldn't care about. But when you are in a place that is secularized and a former Catholic country, like where this priest is from, you begin to find yourself in boiling water for what you've done. So this is a priest who needs your prayers. I ask you to pray for him. He will need it. And hope that this story will help you understand why a lot of priests in America and elsewhere don't speak up. We go to Info Vaticana. The headline, Stop the Presses, Scandal in Trevelez. So first, Info Vaticana's website has a lot of ads I can't control, and using tools that prevent those from popping up is something our hosts frown upon, and I could lose my channel if I use them, so I don't. But this is a story about a priest who dared to teach things from the AMBO that really, strictly speaking, only concern Catholics, and he's had to go into hiding over it. This is a mild rebuke of laxity and the silent apostasy we see today, where few people go to confession, while lots of people go receive the Eucharist on Sunday, where few people actually agree with the church's teaching on all the hot-button moral issues. There's a silent apostasy going on. They remain Catholic for their own reasons. We don't know why. Hopefully, they receive some graces to bring them actually into actual communion with the teachings of the church. This is one of those stories today that will be surprising in how bad the situation is for most priests. From the article, quote, "Take a deep breath and prepare for what you're about to read because it's going to change your life. In the idyllic and progressive town of Trevelez," note the word progressive, "in the heart of the Granada Alperaja, an unprecedented tragedy has unfolded. A parish priest, yes, you read that right, a Catholic priest, has dared to do something as retrograde, medieval, and absolutely intolerable as praying for those who don't go to Mass." Now, as an aside, Info Vaticana is a very conservative website. I'm reading this in the tone they wrote it in. "Are you feeling the scandal yet? No? Well, wait, there's more. Father Ruben Avila Arenas not only prays, but every night he rings the bells for the souls of those who have left us, as if we were in the time of Saint Alphonsus Maria de Liguori. And if that weren't enough, the very audacious man has publicly stated that he doesn't think it's a good idea to invite the James Martin crowd to join the church without further ado, without conversion, without the gospel, without anything. To the stake with him! Thanks to Religion Digital, we learned of this liturgical pastoral barbarity, which has raised the hackles of half the editorial staff and probably made some Franciscan synodant cry. According to the newspaper, the priest has deleted his social media accounts, another indication, no doubt, of his extreme danger, and has provoked the rebellion of an entire town. Or at least of the mayor, who is from the PP, one of the political parties, but very modern, who has called him all the nasty things you can't say on YouTube, a magic formula that, as we all know, automatically nullifies any argument, doctrine, canon, or gospel. From these lines, we express our deepest concern, because as good citizens of the new liturgical order, we are extremely scared. We don't know if it's from fear or eschatology, but the truth is that we need someone to guarantee us that this priest will be ended very publicly as soon as possible. Symbolically, you understand, or not. or at least suspended a divinis, removed from worship, discredited on El Rojo Vivo, one of the biggest shows in Spain, and re-educated with some good workshops on effective diversity of the flesh in the Diocese of San Diego. We want to make it clear that such behavior cannot be tolerated, praying for souls, criticizing the current ideology, and then ringing the bells as if hell existed. Where does this man think he is? In the church? They're being facetious in their reporting. This is a priest who needs your prayers. Clearly, one of the better ones. And if you wonder why we don't have more priests who stand up for the truth, this is the reason. Their own parishioners will report them. After all, how do you think people found out that he dared to suggest that people need to come to Mass on a regular basis? People in Spain, on average, Catholics in Spain who practice the faith, aren't actually going to Mass all that often. It's the same as in anywhere else in the Western world. In the United States, all the polling companies like Pew will tell you that when they ask someone if they're practicing the faith, when they actually describe them as an active participant in the faith, they generally mean someone who goes to Mass like twice a month. I know it I have a good authority that many active Catholics only go to Mass once or twice a month. Anywhere you look in Europe. The majority of Catholics are cultural Catholics. They will maybe take their kids to be baptized. They may let them be educated through confirmation so they can get their first communion, and then they stop going to Mass. I don't know why they bother, unless, of course, they think just being a member of the church is sufficient to save their soul and the souls of their children. Maybe they have the image in their head of the Protestant nice guy Jesus. You just got to believe in him and be a nice person and you'll be saved. Pretty sure that Jesus doesn't exist. That the actual Jesus gave basic commands like following the teachings that he gave to the apostles, listening to the apostles, being in communion with them and their successors, actually living the faith, and submitting to the lawful authorities of the church on basic practices of the faith, like going to confession when you need to, and not receiving the Eucharist when you haven't been to confession in a while, going to Mass on a regular basis, and all of these other basic things. The church even has the right to impose fasting on people. They don't really do that much anymore, but the church has that right. Maybe these harder, more stringent laws of penance should be brought back. And so I ask you today to remember that priest in your rosary today. Pray for his protection and pray that this storm comes and goes and that he doesn't lose his fortitude. We need more brave priests to speak the truth, even on topics that should be easy for a priest to speak on. Because clearly in Spain, something is so far gone that even reminding people they need to be coming to Mass every Sunday is a bridge too far. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It absolutely helps. So does sharing this on social media. That helps a lot too. And as always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.